Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Riera. In today's episode, we're talking about workout routines and techniques with the pro master himself, Jared Boyette.
That's right. Let's get to it.
Cool. So let's get into it, man. So I would say when people think about workouts, usually it's about weight loss, gaining muscle, right?
Yeah.
Like those kind of two things right there, right?
Yeah.
For what's the comparison between cardio, strength training, and resistance training and stuff like that?
I think it all depends.
Yeah.
It really depends on how you address it. I think they're all important. That's the biggest thing. And I think we need all of them in our lives, whether you're more prone to weight training or whether you're more prone to cardio. I think you need a mixture of both into your routine. And some would argue that you get both into the same workout. There's been some strength workouts that you've probably done where your heart rate gets to a certain rate and you're like, this is just as high as my cardio workout.
Yeah.
But really and truly the difference is cardiovascular tends to be a little bit more for heart function. It focuses more on your VO2 max, which is more for longevity in terms of cardiovascular. Weight training does play a part in that as well, but weight training is more for to help prevent scarpenia or muscle loss. It's kind of like the 401k of our body.
What's scarpenia?
Scarpenia is just it's something we see in older adults as individuals age.
Okay.
It's a rapid muscle loss that could lead to various things. It could lead to falls. It could lead to osteoporosis in a way, to an extent. And osteoporosis, as you know, is bone density that is essentially decaying of bone density. So you're more prone to breaking your bones, your hip, your knees, whatever it may be.
Is it a decay of bones and muscle, or is it just bones?
No, it's just muscle, but it could lead to other things. It could be from lack of protein. It could be lack of resistance training. It could be lack of various things, but that's kind of like what we focus on as coaches in terms of weight training. Obviously, you're going to get more muscle mass from weight training, more muscle mass, and you can tend to burn more calories through weight training.
Right.
There's many benefits there, but that's kind of the difference between the two of those.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like as you're talking, I'm thinking about my dad. You know, he's like 78. He is losing a lot of weight. And you know, he's done a bunch of tests and stuff like that. Muscle deterioration as well. And stuff like that. So he's been going to the gym to kind of work on his muscles. And then I finally got him on creatine, which he ended up loving. And stuff like that. And I think not a lot of people think about creatine as part of their, as they grow older and stuff like that. Do you think that creatine is a thing? Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's many health enthusiasts that would differ. I think that creatine is the most studied supplement that's out there. Right. It's been studied over 30, 40, 50 years now. And we have the most information about it. And they're finding more benefits than anything else. There's really no side effects to creatine if you do it properly in a way. And what I mean by properly is as long as you don't take the whole jar or anything like that, and as long as you stay hydrated. But
because it's like 5 grams a day that you need.
Yeah, roughly
right?
5 grams. Depends on how much you weigh. For individuals about our size, I'd say probably about 7 would be ideal. But 5's good. I mean, if an individual takes 5 grams per day, that's a plenty. We get creatine naturally in certain foods like red meat, steak, for example. And it's a natural. Creatine is naturally produced in the body. So taking it shouldn't harm you in any way. There's more benefits to it in terms of muscle mass, muscle strength. There's even, now they're finding research that it helps with cognitive function. But along with creatine, I also recommend glutamine. Glutamine is probably one of the best supplements for recovery and gut health. So any leaky gut, you've heard of leaky gut in the system.
What is that? I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But I never actually like dived into like what that actually means.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
So leaky gut, somebody like Matt would give a better example of leaky gut. That's not necessarily my expertise,
Right.
but essentially leaky gut is the intestine that has become weak, and it's causing digestive issues in the body.
Gotcha.
That could lead to upset stomach or
Okay.
bowel issues.
Gotcha.
And
So any kind of like disturbance in the gut
disturbance
area,
in the gut, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But glutamine helps quite a bit with that.
All right. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. As far as like building strength, you have body weight workouts and stuff like that. You have weights, right? And stuff like that. Or even resistance bands, right? That's kind of like a weight too.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend for building strength?
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends what you have.
Right.
Like you mentioned, is it body weight? Should I do body weight? Where am I in my progression as an individual to build muscle? If my underlying goal is to build muscle, how can I do that with the situation I'm in, whether I'm just starting out or the equipment I have? I think the biggest thing is time under tension, focusing on the eccentric portion of the movement. I think you're going to get more out of it from that. You've heard some of us coaches around talk about the lowering phase or the lengthening phase. That's where you get your eccentric portion from. So you're going to get more of your muscle growth from that. So just pull up, for example, whether it is assisted or it's body weight. Once you go up on the movement, if you go down slow, which is the lengthening of that muscle fibers, that's what's going to rip and tear those muscle fibers and allow more strength and more growth over time.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily how many reps you do, although that does matter to an extent, but it's all about that time under tension. So individuals, just individuals in the past who have been coached in a certain way on doing pull-ups, they may find more benefit in just focusing on going down really slow, whether they're weighted or not weighted, going down really slow and contracted. They have more of a chance to get a pull-up in a period of time as opposed to somebody who's just doing numerous reps.
Yeah.
So that time under tension, the eccentric phase, that's what I would focus on more than anything, whether it's a squat or whether it's a deadlift, pull-up, a press of sort. That is where you're going to get the most growth from.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that just reminds me of like calisthenics and stuff like that. Because they're pretty efficient in going slow. In whatever they do, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then like calisthenics people are always like just ripped, right? Compared to someone who does maybe like weights or something like that. I don't know, just the physique just seems more ripped. I don't know.
And then you can argue, so that would be more of a ballistic or a plyo movement, a power movement. Like you think of like a quick, explosive movement. Those individuals are very lean and muscular as well. So I think it really just depends on the individual and what type of training they do. I think it's to utilize what you have best, if that makes sense.
I think
because if you think of a gymnast, that all they do is body weight.
Right.
We've looked at that for years, but it's that time under tension, right? Think how much tension is underneath all that pressure on the body. So it's going to create a more, what we would call hypertrophy, more muscle growth.
Right. I think where people might have a lack of knowledge in is for the everyday person, how do you find out what you need?
Yeah.
Because people do go in the gym and they do workouts that they probably don't need. Or they should do something else instead, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that's why I recommend consultation of some sort to see a professional. I always like to compare it to, it's like the framework of the house. You know, you have this beautiful home, you could put it on a plot of land, but the foundation is not key. The first storm or the first any environmental situation that happens, the house is going to fall down. There's going to be issues. It's kind of like that with our bodies too. You want to make sure the foundation is good. So you've heard me talk about corrective exercise and get into corrective movements, which are key. strengthening that foundation and then build upon that. Because yeah, you're right. You don't want to do any plyos or certain movements there that may work really good for some individuals, but they are just going to lead you to injuries over time.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way, dude.
Yeah, so just finding the right plan. The biggest thing in all that is just being consistent. I know that's a cliche of just, be consistent. That's so easy to do for you. But just being consistent and like finding a plan, just making a habit of coming into the gym, or just not even a gym, just a routine day in and day out, whether it's plyo work or corrective movements or just even mobility work. It does pay dividends in the long run over time.
Yeah, I've come to find out that after all the injuries that I keep running into for myself, I realize that I need to spend at least 20 minutes before a workout just stretching, warming up, doing some mobility, some stability workouts before I actually get into it and stuff like that. So, and I don't know, like, I guess, people could come in 20 minutes beforehand, before class, for example. But, I mean, how important is that part?
It's very important. It's the foundation. I try to put a lot of emphasis on individuals warming up and cooling down properly. Now, in terms of, that's what we call the homework, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to have somebody hold your hand and guidance all the time, but if an individual can condition themselves to properly warm up and cool down, that's a good chunk of the workout without being less prone to injury or being less prone to injury. So warming up, I always say, if you want to be very strategic with your type of training, 8 to 12 minute cardio warm up is ideal. Just get the blood flowing. It doesn't have to be too intense. You've heard cardio before is a no-go, but some cardio before is good, it's beneficial.
They say no-go for cardio?
Well, in terms of
warming up?
Well, in terms of should I do a lot of cardio before? Now, I think if you do your main chunk of cardio high intensity, it's going to be difficult to do weight training after that. You're probably a little more fatigued, and all your glycogen stores are kind of burned up through that. But in terms of warming up, I recommend 8 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
8 to 12 minute warm up, and then you get into your movement prep. There's probably another 10 minutes of work there. Mobility work, stretching, plyo work, corrective exercise.
Yeah.
So I recommend 20 minutes just to warm up.
Yeah. Now that I think of it, I do about 10 minutes of breathing and stretching, and then I go into 10 minutes of mobility and stability workouts.
Just like you said, about 20 minutes, which is ideal.
Okay, cool.
And it's going to be different for everybody. Some warm-ups are going to be different, but if you can get your mind right for 15 to 20 minutes and then get into the session, it really helps a lot in the long run.
I guess it's about really listening to your body at that point, right? Okay, I'm warmed up enough. For the workout that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing legs, so I got to make sure all my leg parts are good.
And then there's some days where you feel great. You're like, man, I only need 10 minutes to warm up today. I've kind of had a crazy day. It's warmer outside. I actually went for a walk at lunch. I feel pretty good today. 10 minutes, bada bing, bada boom, get into your workout. But then there's some days, like yesterday, I had a day, I swear I feel like I warmed up 25 or 30 minutes before leg day. It was more like 20 minutes, but I just warmed up longer than I normally do. It was just tight, it was cold, and I just needed that more time to get ready for the workout. And sometimes it may take that. But like you said, listen to your body. That's the key.
Yeah, listening and moving the parts of your body that you're going to work out, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's legs, then, my hamstring's a little tight, stuff like that. So what about and speaking of warm-ups and stretching and stuff like that, we got flexibility in there as well. So how important is flexibility when it comes to working out in general?
Yeah, flexibility is good. I mean, there's been situations where individuals who are hypermobile, almost too flexible in a sense, are prone to injury.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in terms of being just too mobile, right? And that's really rare. But then there's also injuries on the side of having low mobility, work in regards, you want to work on that. It takes time, but I highly recommend going through certain movements. I always say whatever you're doing, if it's upper body or lower body, go through those ranges of motion before you load the body in that way. Because for example, if I can't do a body weight squat, but I load my body with 100 pounds, it's probably going to fight against it. You know, it could lead to injury, not necessarily all the time, but you know, you want to go through certain movements that keep you flexible. Flexibility is more, I would say flexibility is key, but flexibility is more of a static hold. Mobility is more through movement. They're both very similar. Okay. Mobility is a stretch still, but it's through a movement. Flexibility tends to be more of a static hold. That might last a minute of a hold, whereas mobility is more through like an actual movement that's numerous reps. Yeah, but they're both important, and I recommend both of them before your workout, depending on what you're working.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when you were talking about like loading 100 pounds when you're not used to that, or it didn't warm up enough, or not flexible enough for it, you know, it's also like, I don't know, for me especially, like I find that my adrenaline kicks in.
Yeah.
And so like, oh yeah, I could do this.
Yeah.
And then I do it, but then like an hour or two after the workout, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I
feel it. Oh, now I'm injured.
Yeah. You know I mean? It comes on later. Yeah. And that could have sparked it, and you did something else later that caused that injury. Or obviously the load caused the injury, but it could happen later through another minor movement that shouldn't have caused an injury.
Yeah. I think my issue was that I'm doing the workout. It's fine, but I didn't realize that a certain part of my body was not stable enough for it. That workout. And it's just like, I don't know how to prevent that from happening. Because it feels fine when I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, you know, that goes back to those joint integrity exercises I mentioned. I think the joint integrity exercises are so important. That's the framework, right? Hence joint integrity, you know, making sure your shoulders the stabilizers are strong enough to support whether you're bench pressing or overhead pressing or rowing, whatever the movement may be that counters that, it supports that area. So in the hips and the knees. So that's why I say joint integrity is very important. Which,
can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, joint integrity is starting through movement. It could be various carry movements. So farmer carry, overhead carry. And overhead carry can be progressed into like a Turkish get-up of some sort, a windmill, which you've done your share of in your workouts. Band pull-aparts. There's various movements in mobility that could be joint integrity too. We can even go to say TRX rows of joint integrity because it's a pull, right? Even a goblet squat can be a joint integrity of some sort. So those kind of movements, making sure the framework's good and your joints can support that is what gets them stronger over time. And then you can start loading.
I didn't think about those type of workouts being that. You know, because like I think about like
Plank's another joint integrity exercise. It's also in the category of core, but I consider it core. Or pal-off press or pal-off rotation is a joint integrity movement. They help a lot with stability.
Okay, cool. Now, when you're talking about like high intensity interval training, you don't want to be doing that every day, right? Or does it matter?
Yeah, I think it really depends. I think an individual who has time on their hands and the equipment available where they don't have to do high intensity training, I probably wouldn't recommend that. And where I'm going at with that is they have so many other resources. You know, they can slow it down a little bit. They can do some low intensity and some high intensity training along with that. So their recovery is going to be better, and they're probably going to be less prone to injury. They're going to see more benefit. But high intensity is great. I'm not hating on high intensity. I mean, statistically speaking, individuals should probably only do high intensity 1 or 2 times a week. And we're talking about like a zone 4 type of day, like HIIT training. If your heart rate gets truly high, you know, we're talking above 160, 170, depending on the individual. Probably only 1 or 2 of those days, 2 max. But if that's all you have for a short period of time and like all you have is 20 or 30 minutes a day, it'd be okay to utilize that. I know
I've also heard like, you know, if it's like do your main workout and then you can do some cardio afterwards or something like that, right?
That's kind of how I break it up as a coach. And I know others do as well. It's hard to utilize individuals nowadays that work out they have a set time in their schedule. So why not make the most out of that time? So the foundation is warm up, mobility work, a little bit of joint integrity and core, your large part of your workout, which is more your resistance training, and then you can finish with some more metabolic conditioning, so that kind of that HIIT style. And even if it's only 10 minutes, therefore you can do that HIIT type training. It's at the end of your workout, and you can probably do that or something similar in 48 hours or maybe 72 hours. So you can utilize it more and get 2, if not 3 days like that in a week. So in that workout, you got stretching, you got mobility work, you got weight training, and you got some metabolic condition. You got a little bit of everything, which is key in your amount of time.
And then do you recommend that like how many times a week at least?
Obviously for the HIIT training.
For that type of routine workout.
Oh, for that type, I would say 3 days a week, you know. And intensity varies, right? I mean, it depends on how you're feeling, what your expertise level is. Are you a beginner? Are you more advanced in your workouts? But I'd say for an individual who is more intermediate, that'd be fine with 3 days a week of doing that style of training. As long as they're utilizing their active recovery on those other days. And active recovery is essentially swimming, walking, pickleball, you know, on those other days. Just staying active, right? Stretching. That's another form of active recovery. But yeah, I think that an individual, I would highly recommend 3 days a week of that style of training.
Speaking of like, you know, active recovery and stuff like that, would you call that like rest days as well? Yeah,
I'm not for just absolutely doing nothing unless you're sick and I mean, we all have those days. I was sitting here like I don't have those days. I had one last weekend, maybe 2. But I recommend doing something, walking a little bit. You're going to see more recovery from doing light intensity work, whether it's walking with the kids in the neighborhood, walking the dogs, playing pickleball at a light intensity pace, swimming. You're going to see more recovery from movement like that. Because how many times really, Oliver, you're in good shape, you work out. How many times have you seen you're kind of more sore on that second day by not doing anything? Like you kind of get off the couch, you're a little stiff.
That's true,
So we're meant to be in motion, so motion's good. It's just as long as it's not intense for that recovery.
And it doesn't have to be for long either, right?
No, it doesn't have to be for long. Yeah, short and sweet, 30 minutes.
30 minutes,
I mean,
because I think about the whole day, and then you're just moving for like 30 minutes or something like that. So I was like, I don't know, is that enough?
Yeah, it seems like it's not, but it adds up over time.
Gotcha. You know, someone who is like a beginner at working out, how do they progress to like an advanced level?
Yeah, that's a great question. Consistency is the biggest thing. Did you know more people quit, Oliver, more people quit statistically from working out or just health and fitness in general. They actually do see progress, but they don't see it at the rate they want. And part of that's consistency. I wish viewers and everybody knew that it really takes time. You know, it takes time. Now, we've seen fad diets over the years and intense styles of training. Individuals reach their goal in 3 months. You can do that, but obviously it's not realistic. It really takes a lot of consistency, work, and time. So you know, whether they're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, whatever their goals are, you just got to keep working on them daily. So for a beginner, I would say, in terms of that, absolutely, they can become a level of advance. A beginner can absolutely become to an advanced level. It may take time, and it may depend on where they are and how many days they're willing to devote to their goals and their training. I think that's key too.
The patience, right? The patience is the key also.
But if you think about it this way, Oliver, if you can condition your mind to have kind of that snowball effect, and it's kind of like what you've done with Bobby in the past, and many other great coaches do this too. It's just small little changes over time that are more advanced that you didn't even pay any mind. And before you know it, you're down 5 pounds. your certain movement went up 5, 10, 15 pounds. You went from 2 sets to 3 sets, maybe even 4 sets of 10, as opposed to when you first started 2 sets. So it's just those small changes day in and day out.
So that's the key then, is
yeah,
like
where
small
you almost,
changes.
Small changes where you don't even realize them. You know, and if you feel up for it, make bigger changes, go more. But the biggest, you know, you don't want to kill yourself or push yourself away.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, even those small changes, you're still progressing. It might not be drastic, but you're still progressing in a sense.
Yeah. Even in the middle of the workout, right? Yeah, you do 2 reps and then 3 reps next time.
Yeah.
But you have to be comfortable with those 2 reps, right? Before you move on to the third.
Absolutely. And if it makes somebody feel better, if you think of it this way, you have to do it till the end of time anyways. If you want to keep it anyways. So the day you start weight training is the day, or the day you start working out in general and staying active and focusing on your goals, it's kind of the day you just keep up with it forever. If you want to keep those goals or progress on those goals to an extent.
I wish we could just like work out and then like get really ripped and then like just keep it.
Just keep it. I know, man. I know.
That'd be good.
That would be awesome. I've been saying that for years. Maybe we should make something.
I know, man. There's got to be something.
You know, like just freeze frames out our body. Yeah.
In the future, I can see it happening. AI. So like when you talk about like common like workout mistakes and stuff like that, I feel like there's a lot there when it comes to, especially as a personal trainer, right?
Yeah.
What are some common mistakes you see people do, especially like starting off?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Some in particular. This one isn't common, but overtraining is a big thing. I've been there. I know others have probably been there as well. Overtraining can be a silent assassin, so to speak. Training just way too much, just beating up your body. We both have had our share of injuries, right? And they kind of creep up on you when you least expect it. And it could be from various things, but one thing it could be from is either malnutrition, not eating enough, not getting enough protein, not getting enough recovery, which goes along with just training a little too much. 7 days a week, 6 days a week, or just doing too much of that one thing. Just doing way too much weight training, not getting your cardio in, not getting your stretching in, not getting your yoga or your movement prep in or anything like that. So I think, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter working out every day of the week, but just making sure you're balancing your type of workouts, the low intensity with the high intensity, the stretching with the resistance training. I think that's a big thing that tends to happen in the fitness industry.
I think I find it a little crazy when people overtrain. I can see like a martial artist overtraining, but when it comes to like building muscle and like weightlifting, that's got to be hard to overtrain. Yeah. Because for me, it's like if I'm overtraining, I'm gonna be sore the next day. I'm not gonna be able to lift anything. Yeah. But people do that.
Right. Yeah.
So they just don't listen to their body.
They do. Hey, you mentioned mixed martial artists, MMA. Yeah. The cool thing about MMA fighters, they constantly do full body type of training, and that's probably one of the most effective styles of training. Yeah. And the reason is because if I'm in a hypertrophy phase or a bro split or a muscle split, I might be doing legs once, maybe twice a week. Now I'm hitting those legs relatively hard, but then I'm really sore. Whereas an MMA fighter, he's probably training legs every day of the week. So he's getting 365 days. Of course, if he's got rest, let's just say he's having 300 leg days. To an extent, a year, I'm only getting 50 to 100. Right. To an extent, right?
And they're doing it in a different way.
They're doing it in a different way. So the recovery tends to be better. So there's more benefit, more muscle growth, more strength that come from that in the long run. Yeah. So that was just a little sidebar to what you stated.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because, like, I mean, my dad, he did Jeet Kune Do in the 70s and stuff like that, and he said his I forgot what you call sensei would have to kick him out because he would always be there for hours every single day. He's like, "You're gonna kill yourself. Go, get out of here," stuff like that. So, and now that he's older, he's like, he understands why.
Yeah, he feels a little more, you think?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Yeah. But like, it's about that recovery time that he needed. So, I know. Is there any kind of takeaways that you want people to understand about fitness and health?
I feel like I've already stated this to an extent, but whatever an individual's doing, whether it's high intensity, low intensity, you're just starting out, you're coming back, you've been in the gym for 10 years, whatever you're doing, stay the course, stay with it. Not every day is going to be 100%. However, give 100% of what you have that day. Try not to miss your workouts. Try to stick to your plan. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to miss days. But stick to your plan. Stay consistent and just get in, even if it's only 30 minutes. Still walk through the doors to get everything done that you need to get done. That's the biggest thing I would say.
Yeah, I think, those days, man, where it's like you don't want to go to the gym.
You don't.
And you get up there, you're like, ugh, God, just dreading it.
Yeah.
But at least doing something.
Yeah,
right?
And we all have them. We all have them.
Yeah.
I feel like half of my workouts throughout the week are a drag, but just getting through, just doing what you need to do to get through it.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, damn, I appreciate you coming by, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
Honored to be on here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about our talk, the pros and cons of. I know there's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of perspectives out there. So leave a link with you. Do you want to? I don't know if you want to share your Instagram or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Instagram be fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll leave a link below so you could reach out to Jared if you have any questions or if you have any concerns. If you have any questions for him, also, you can comment below and we can take care of that for you. So again, I hope people get good insight about their workout routines and techniques from a professional right here. I think we got a lot of good insights.
Yeah.
And I hope it inspires and helps people out there to kind of move your body the right way, right? So that's the important
That's the key.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm Oliver Riera. This is Inspired Voices. Take care.